welcome back to our channel.
I'm Kumo.
And I'm Natasha.
And we are
Izwelami.
So, we decided to make like a sequel, like a part 2 of the previous video that we had, because we had so much great feedback on the previous video that we shot, and also quite a few questions about like just us touching on a few topics and people asking that could we just break them down one by one into different layers. So here we are.
So we really obviously appreciate the feedback. So we like the fact that you guys engaged with us, and it seemed like the topic of beauty was such an interesting conversation for a lot of people. So we decided to have full-length videos, conversations, touching on the stuff that we spoke about, and today's one is going to be on colorism, so like an extended version of it.
Yes. So, just, any feedback that you've been getting on the colorism, on the conversation, what have people been saying?
So I think like people wanted us to like break down like what colorism is, what the history behind it is, and how we see it playing out today in like society, etc. And so I think maybe if we just start like what is colorism, what is the definition of it, and then we can just like flow into the rest of it. But again, guys, at the end of the video, please do give us your feedback. I think we will always be speaking also from like experience, a little bit of research here, etc. But the point of us doing this is so that we can engage, and then if we missed something, then you can just like educate us also, right? That's a deal.
Yes.
Sounds perfect. So what is colorism?
So colorism, from dictionary definitions, is discriminating against a group or individuals because of the tone or the darkness of their skin tone. So that's generally what colorism is, and we see it play out in different ways in society, in families, in the workplace. But the question is, where does it come from? Why are we experiencing it, and why the conversation is happening now?
So I guess a good starting point around the history of colorism, a good starting point would be slavery. What we saw is dark-skinned black people would be put in fields to pick the cotton, etc. But then when slave masters would rape black women, and I'm saying rape because it wasn't always consensual, right? At all. So when they would rape black women and they would have light-skinned babies, we would see that they were preferred and they were termed like house slaves, right? And they weren't beaten, they weren't out in the sun. They were given like this preferential favor, I guess, from the massa. So I think that's like the genesis of slavery, of colorism. And then how we see it playing in like African society was during colonialism, and the same principles I guess applied. But I think if we look at apartheid, then we had people that were given through spatial planning preferences, and it became like a hierarchical type of way to separate people based on the skin tones, etc. And black people generally were always at the bottom of the bottom. And so we see that, people were saying, oh no, we get access to certain things within our communities and black people don't. So that means we're obviously so much better. So I think that's where like colorism actually stems from. And then now through the definition that you gave, we see that it plays a lot in post 1994. It still plays a lot within like the spaces that we occupy, like family, etc., and the comments that come out from that.
And you see it in comments that we hear just growing up around family, around friends, around our elders, saying that to lighter skinned people, to say associating the whiteness of the milk to beauty. So I mean I've never heard a phrase like that says for darker skinned women to associate something with beauty.
Because I think like if we just touch on like the family aspect of it, right? Because now we live in like such blended communities, right, in terms of who we date, etc. But you do find like grandmothers, and I think back to my experience growing up, where you'd find that the lighter grandchildren were told to not play too long in the sun, and they were almost like kept like precious eggs. But then the other grandchildren, it's like, oh, no one cares about them, they're dark anyway. Sure. So you see how it plays out, and women also now go to like great lengths to want to be light.
Yeah.
Right? Because of the level of attractiveness that's associated with being a lighter woman. So the bleaching products that are out there in the market. And I think we also touched on it in the previous video, where we said the problem is that people are not well informed around the impact of like these bleaching products that you find in society.
But it's interesting that you would say that. So I mean, I think my love for Nigerian women, right? I love Nigerian, but specifically because I think they are probably one of the most brilliant people. I read their academic work; they are brilliant feminists, right?
Yeah.
But Nigeria has the highest rate in Africa of bleaching.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But most of these women are affluent women, people who are married to people who have businesses,
Yeah.
they are intelligent, they have good careers,
Yeah.
so they have access to the knowledge. They have access to knowing the impact that these skin products can have on their bodies, on their lives. And even after the impact, they still travel around the world to the best.
Yeah.
What are those people who do the skin? The surgeons?
I was just gonna say surgeon.
Yeah, but the surgeons,
Yeah.
they still travel around the world just to try and rectify those issues, but not just to go back to their dark skin, just so they can fix maybe the consequences of what the skin lightening has done.
Yeah.
So these are women who know.
Yeah.
These are women who read, who are educated, who are smart,
Yeah.
who have access to knowledge and resources, but they still choose to lighten their skin.
And I think that's a very valid point, right? To say that even the people that have access to the information, know the type of cancers that you can get from these products, still continue to go down that path, then it means that, that's the lack of knowledge, or the knowledge aspect is a portion of a plethora of stuff. So that means, it's the insecurities and the way people are judged then, takes precedence over anything else.
Yeah.
Because if we think about it, from a relationship perspective, right? It's to say how society plays out in media, etc., that light-skinned women are more preferred, right? And they're considered to be more attractive. So they get given like more opportunities to be video vixens, etc. So, and if you're in that industry and you want to be in entertainment, and if you're not light-skinned, then you're never going to get cast. Right, so then that plays into your economic opportunities as well. So you go to great lengths, knowing the consequences, to just try and emulate that level of beauty standards so that you can be in.
Yeah. So I had a similar conversation with my younger sister who is in the media industry, and she was quite touched after the whole Pearl Tuesday thing to say, so I don't understand it as well because I'm a light-skinned woman.
Yeah.
But we had a conversation about it, and for me it was, there's really nothing you can do about your light skin. This is the way that you are.
Yeah.
But at least acknowledge the fact that you are probably getting, or will probably get, more recognition even if it's 5-second recognition because of your lighter skin. You will probably be casted instead of someone else being casted who is equally as brilliant as you are, because you are associated as more beautiful and more appealing to the television screen than someone else is.
It becomes a numbers game.
Is it your fault? Maybe not. Can you say to Natasha, I recognize what happened, and even though there's nothing I can do about it, please know that I have some kind of sentiment towards it. It's not going to kill you in any way.
It's really not. And I think that brings us to the whole like Beyonce conversation, right? Beyonce and Destiny's Child, everyone wanted to be Beyonce. I mean, she has talent. Kelly also has like talent, etc. But everyone wanted to be Beyonce because she was considered to be more beautiful because she's light skinned. And also, so I think over the years, I think she has probably realized that, and I almost like want to give her like the credit for recognizing that, and you know, we see it through the song like Brown Skin Girls, right? And she made it a point that the video had women of darker hue, you know, so we wouldn't get it confused that she wasn't singing about exactly.
She was talking about us.
So you know, the point of this is to say that sometimes we need allies, and you know, people that are able to speak up on that, to say I do recognize that I got this opportunity because I am light skinned, but we need to start decolonizing our mindsets around what is beautiful and what is not beautiful, right? Because I mean, it's one thing that we have enough problems in the world like racism, etc., but then to fight amongst each other, like, no man, we're never going to progress as a society. I think.
So one of the comments I got was that, you know, every time we speak about colorism, it always comes from a point where it's associated with women and beauty, but it seems as though men never get kind of like the experience or the effects of colorism. And maybe that's the most annoying aspect for her, is that why is it a woman problem mostly, a black woman problem, and not
and that is so true, right? If you think about it, we never say, oh my gosh, he's so pretty because he's like a yellow bone, or you know, but it's not to say that it's not there, right? I think the aspect of colorism when we speak about men is it comes from an overly hyperly sexualized point of view. You know, we want them to be very dark, and you know, to be dark chocolate, Idris Elba, Denzel, you know, so it's always from that point of view.
But if he's light in complexion, it's not like you're going to be like,
exactly. We're not going to dismiss him. We will never dismiss him. But when it's women, I think that's where we see the biggest impact. And also just outside of like the black community, right? I think we see colorism also like within the Indian community, right? And how like darker Indians are also treated, and how we as black people also treat like darker Indians, right? You find like, please forgive me, like all these commentary around you can't trust the dark Indians, you know, because they are evil, they're mean, etc. But when it's like the lighter Indians, which is like it's chilled because they're closer to whiteness, like this is
ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Also, every time when I'm in Durban, I'm always just taken aback by how much darker they are, and it doesn't happen. Like, I've been to Durban a few times, but I'm still always like, they look so different from the ones from Johannesburg, right? But it's a mental thing, because why do I overly recognize how different their skin tone is from the ones that I usually see?
And do you think like your attitude changes towards them or anything?
I would say no, but I'm sure it definitely does, because that's just how your brain works, right? You see something different and you're just like, no.
And it's okay, you know, to act different and realize that you're acting different. I think that's the important thing, right? And be aware
that you're acting different.
Exactly. And I think like we also act different within our own communities.
We do.
Right? Where we say, oh no, forgive her because she's pretty. Whatever. But if it's someone making a similar point but they're darker, then it's like, oh my gosh, she should just shut up. You know? And also dark-skinned women are also perceived to be more angry.
Yes.
You know, generally black women are perceived to be angry, like darker women are perceived to be super angry.
It's interesting you say that. I love Basketball Wives LA for absolutely no reason, but I love that show, right? So there's this Evelyn is the trashiest person ever. As a human being, she's a horrible person.
She's like always light or dark? I don't know.
She's light. She's very light in complexion, Latino. She calls herself Afro-Latino. But she has terrible mouth. She says the most vile things. She's always trying to hit people with tables, right? There's another woman who recently joined the show. I don't know what's Odom or something. Ogum, something like that. She used to be a baseball player, something like that. She's extremely dark, right? She's like has this well-built body. She's an athlete, and she was making the point that there's nothing that she's done differently from Evelyn. She's actually just been, you know, overly expressive about how she feels about people, but she's never attempted to hit anyone or like, you know, pick up a table. But she's the one on the show who's perceived as the angry black woman, because of colorism, because we're seeing her as a dark skin, like low, shine. Why is she so angry? But Evelyn,
it's exactly the same, if not worse.
Tries to hit people, and it's like, the light skinned woman.
Exactly. So we do have a tendency of giving some sort of leniency to people of like lighter skin.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's even worse when it's white people, right?
Yes.
Then I mean, they have no fault. It's just like which is ridiculous. But we will talk about race in a different video. Yeah. Do you think that, like within Africa, so maybe not necessarily like maybe in America, you know, colorism also plays out a little bit maybe differently, but predominantly like on a continent where it is a lot of black people, do you think that people get like missed opportunities outside of media, that is, to get specific positions because of colorism, or not so much? Because like you and I are both in like corporate, right? But we're in like white corporate.
Yeah.
Have like, I don't know, have you seen that play out?
No.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that play out. Sure, no, I haven't. But I can imagine it probably plays out in a predominantly black firm.
Yeah.
Because there's always some type of hierarchy playing out everywhere, right? So if you're not going to have the hierarchy of the other race versus the other one, then there will definitely be some kind of gender hierarchy and a hierarchy of lighter versus the darker skinned women, men in the environment.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I could be wrong, there are probably people who are seeing that maybe lighter skinned women are getting more opportunities, are getting more head
in the workplace. I don't know. I personally haven't seen it play out like that, because I mean, like in my space, we're very few like people of color anyway, so we don't generally have time to be thinking about that. We have bigger battles to be fighting.
Never mind colorism.
Yeah, like forget colorism, like we have our own battles. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe like race is more rife in like the corporate settings that we work in, but again, if you work in a black-owned firm, etc.,
please
let us know if you think colorism is a thing in your space. I think that would be interesting to dissect and understand.
So why is it important for us to understand colorism? What do we want to take from it once we understand the impact of it?
First of all, don't come mess with my money. I'm joking.
Basically.
Yeah. You know, it's important because the thing is, we always say, do you see that bug? Sorry. It's important because we need to realize our shortcomings, right? And the impact that has on us as a society and how it plays out. I don't think we can solve for world peace if we consistently are going to be creating these divisions amongst ourselves, and we're not trying to like reconcile the matters and accepting privileges, etc. So the same way we demand people to accept like pretty privilege or race and its impact in everything that we do, we need to be able to also call out colorism by its name and how it actually impacts us. So we need to actually have these conversations and actually be activists and advocates of equality.
I have a spicy question to ask. Do you think Trevor Noah would have gotten the Daily Show if he was darker? Yeah.
It's a tough one.
Tough?
Yeah. Because the thing is,
and we're not saying he's not talented.
Yeah. You know, the thing is, he's talented and he speaks to his particular audience, etc. And what I like about Trevor, right, is that he is, I don't know what the word would be, but he is very pro-black, right? And he speaks openly about the family where he came from and how, you know, he was treated differently because he was light, right? So I like Trevor because he's very self-aware around the privileges that, you know, he could have gotten growing up, and potentially like the gigs, etc., that he got because of his you.
Okay.
So I don't know whether or not he got it because he was light skinned. I think
No, I'm not saying that's the reason.
Yeah.
I'm just saying
a factor.
Just saying a factor.
I mean, if we want to look at it holistically, I think in America, because the Daily Show, I mean, moving from a very white type of host, right, to trying to transition out, whether or not, you know, it's like going in softly and gently by putting someone of color but who is lighter. I'm not sure how it plays out, but definitely if he was darker, I don't know if the audience would have still remained.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's a money game.
Yeah, again.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think no, I don't think so. I think it's a contributing factor.
Yeah.
I always try to think of everything from let's leave emotions out of it.
Yeah.
Are the people who are essentially making decisions, did they think about it from perspective, are we going to make money? Should we make the opposite decision? And if the answer is no, then they'll probably take the answer that will make them the most profit, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you're running a business and it has nothing to do with whether you're trying to fix societal issues and ills.
Sure.
Are we making a profit from this?
Yeah.
You know, are we getting the outcome that we desire? And if the outcome is, listen, the previous host that we had was a white man who appealed to a white audience, who, you know, so I mean, yes, maybe we're trying to go a different direction from it, but we're still not trying to lose a certain client base.
Yeah.
How do we keep them? Someone who they can still familiarize with. He's not black.
Yeah.
But he's not white either.
Yeah.
He's
but
in
he kind of
between.
like brings two worlds together.
He
in
does.
sense, right?
And that,
Yeah.
I think, blends it in quite perfectly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I don't...
So intense.
Yeah.
So intense.
Yeah.
Colourism.
So how do we fix it?
One day at a time. We have the right conversations. We have these conversations. We call it out. I think people have a tendency of not speaking openly and freely, and I get it, right, for fear of judgment, etc. But I think it's important for us to say, if we're going to be activists and we want to live in a better society, we need to call out toxic behavior, right? If you have a circle of friends or guys that call or have like snarky comments when it comes to like girls of darker skin tone, then you need to call them out and be like, dude, that's not cool, right? Even when it comes to family, I think like that's always like the first step.
Yeah.
And also like reflecting as an individual, you know, to say, am I also the problem when it comes to such matters? Am I contributing either by being the person that's saying the negative things or by being the person that's like silent?
Yeah.
You know, as things are being said around you, and you're just as bad if you're silent.
Quiet.
Yeah. You know, you have to stand for something, and you have to make those hard decisions and choices. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, we have to grow up in a society or raise children in a society, you know, that has all these ills.
Yeah.
And I think that in the same way that we are raising like little queens and we're telling them that, you know, she can do whatever a guy can do, right? Being feminist in that approach, I think we also need to have like these type of conversations with ourselves and with our kids to say, you know, if you're light skinned or if you're darker, people are going to treat you differently, but still know that you're powerful and you're strong and you're fully capable. Yeah, I think that's how we tackle the issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. It's a tough conversation.
It is.
Yeah.
And it requires a lot of vulnerability.
It does.
You know, because I remember the last video that you and I made around the African beauty stuff, and we were having like a debriefing conversation at the end of the video, and I was telling you about all my concerns around us doing this YouTube thing and the conversations, some of the things that I worry about as a darker woman, right? When it comes to like being out there in social media. And yeah, I always dread like if I have to like look at our comments or either on Instagram or YouTube, etc. But that's a level of vulnerability that I can't even say it builds character, because it's hectic, right? It's shattering. Social media will drag you for the slightest thing, but dragging you for the things that you can't change.
And I think that the most painful part about that for me was that I couldn't familiarize with what you were saying. I walked out of here thinking it's not something I thought about worrying about.
Yeah.
And that's just, and I'm getting emotional thinking about it, because that's just, I suppose, why it's important for us to reflect on these things, right? Because something that really isn't a thing to you, is something quite significant to someone else.
It really is, right? And I remember having this conversation.
And that's why it has to change.
With, now we're getting all sentimental, but I remember having a conversation with one of my guy friends, and we were talking about the whole video, I guess, privilege and colorism, etc., that comes with like certain beauty standards. And I was telling him this, right, to say like, I really worry sometimes, etc. Like, Kuma is very beautiful. I mean, you know, it is what it is, but society is ugly.
Yeah.
Right. And I almost feel that maybe outside of this podcast, etc., or the venture that we're doing, I almost have to, even in like different social settings, right, I almost have to like make sure that I research well enough, right, and I speak a certain way and I sound super well versed and, you know, read
so that
up,
even though I might be the prettiest, you'll always be the smartest. Not saying that, like, but it kind of,
so that if there's anything that's like going well for me,
yes,
it has to be my mind.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's something that I've had to like reflect on a lot, to say it's okay to not be like the smartest in the room and not know, because we always have to have a learning mindset, but, you know, acknowledging how colorism, you know, is playing a role in how I feel about the way I show up in society. You know, it's something that I've also had to reflect on and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Deep stuff. Interestingly though, I was telling a guy friend as well, who I said, you know, I mean, growing up, my dad never used to tell me that I was beautiful. If anything, it's always the last thing he would say. I remember going to him afterwards, because our parents had to sign our tests after, you know, you'd done it, and I went to him and took the test to him, and I was like, listen, you need to sign this for me. But I was also wearing a new dress, and I was like, please, you know, look at how pretty my dress was. And all my dad said was, oh my gosh, you're so smart. Look at this. Like, you're so smart. And he signed it. And I never got that, because it was such a painful point for me. I was like, this dude did not see how pretty I look, right? Yeah. I think somehow my dad was just trying to remind me that, listen, you're probably going to look like this your whole life. And there's many other things about you that you should recognize, more than the fact that. And I've always dreaded it. I don't know, I'm so uncomfortable with compliments, because I'm just like, but, which is interesting.
Yeah. Which is why, like, you know, it goes back to the point of saying we need to have these conversations, right? So I mean, I do recognize that sometimes the way parents or guardians have conversations with people that are caring for is not always the right approach, right? But again, what's the right approach? But, you know, to say that we need to have the certain conversations, because there's no point in not telling a kid that they're beautiful. Yeah, right? That's a level of validation or whatever that, you know, everyone requires, right? But to also tell them that you have more than just your beauty going on for you.
But I mean, I think, as you know, generations, you're always trying to maybe fix the previous thing that went wrong, and so maybe you neglect one and try to fix the one that you think has to be fixed, right?
That's why we all need to go to therapy. We all have issues.
Definitely.
We have issues.
Definitely.
But yeah, guys, colorism is a real thing. It happens in society. It's definitely things, or it's something that plays out. Yeah. But
I think, I mean, it's important to, I mean, I think Natasha and I, maybe that's why we're still single. Sorry, that's so funny. I'm sorry.
She's about to drag us on YouTube.
No,
why are we still single?
Remember the thing that she sent me about, you know, overly deep women, and how you overly evaluate everything, and how everything is a point of conversation, and a point of note, and a point of whatever, right? But I think in terms of certain things like this, it's really, really important because by fixing society, it goes by also us fixing ourselves one by one. So I mean, I always question things like if I'm about to get into a relationship, is this person predominantly dating light-skinned women? Why?
Yeah.
Are you dating me because I am the next trophy, or do you just generally find me interesting? Or am I the next proy to you accumulating some kind of whiteness because you are not white?
Yeah. I used to ask myself that question to say, is it like, who was he interested in before me?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've learned to deal
maybe
with that level of insecurity.
Maybe it's unnecessary. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's unnecessary, but for me, it's for me it's a way to get to a point where he actually realizes that, you know, there's a pattern.
Yeah.
And he should get to know me, and maybe he should wonder, because if he wasn't, let's say he were to strip that away, would he still be attracted to me as a person if I wasn't a light-skinned woman?
That is deep.
You know, and if he can recognize that, then maybe he'll realize if he still likes me or not. I don't know.
Sure, that's deep, guys. We all need to go to therapy. Hey?
Yeah.
That needs a lot of unpacking.
It really, really does. But also, I mean, just to associate things like when you see babies and you think, oh my God, this is such a cute baby and it's light skin, you see a darker one and you're like, oh yeah, it's still a cute baby. But, you know, mentally, you always have to correct yourself. Be socially aware with everything that's happening. When you're speaking to women and you listen to the other one, even as women, this is not even for men, even as when you get into a social situation and you're having fun and you're jamming with this girl and another one, a dark skinned one, comes and you feel like she has an attitude. Why?
Yeah.
You know?
Stop
to think about it, to reflect, and try to take yourself like, okay, if she wasn't a dark skinned woman, would I react this way? Or does she actually just have an attitude problem? Type of thing. I think it's always important to reevaluate every situation, even if it's for a second.
Yeah.
Because learning happens in that second, you know, and then go back to just being chilled about everything.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think.
But if you guys have any comments or feedback, let us know. You know, you can comment down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on your notifications. There's that bell there. We would love to hear your thoughts on this. You know, I think we've unpacked from lived experiences and what we've seen play out in society as well. And yeah, I mean...
And please, if you are a man and you think, you know, we know nothing about your colorism experience and you would want to let us know, you know, please feel free. We are more than willing and open to learning.
Yeah, for
because
sure.
maybe we don't, I mean, obviously we're two black women, we don't know colorism from a black man's perspective.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So thanks for watching. Don't forget to share the video, like, again, please subscribe, and we will catch you in our next installment.
Sorry, I was just checking out my chubby cheeks. Anyway, thank you for joining us.
Bye, guys.